I'm going to be real with you. Identity theft is on the rise, and you do not want to wake up one morning and discover that your bank account has been emptied, or you're overdue on credit cards you never even applied for. We talk about this often on the podcast, but you don't realize how much of your information is available to scammers on the internet and how susceptible you and your family are to identity theft and fraud. I know it's scary, but now you can get your data removed with Delete Me. That's why I personally choose Delete Me. Delete Me is a subscription service that removes your personal information from the largest people search databases on the web, and in the process helps prevent potential ID theft, doxing, and phishing scams. I just started using Delete Me and I got my regular personalized privacy report and I was shocked what they found and removed. It was pages of information about me that I did not want online. Here's how it works. You sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. I cannot tell you how relieved I felt to have Delete Me. And it's also a great service for your parents or grandparents to help protect them from identity theft. Delete Me is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you do not want on the internet. Take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me, now at a special price for my listeners. Today, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/ETM and use promo code ETM at checkout. The only way you get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/ETM and enter code ETM at checkout. joindeleteme.com/ETM. Go to joindeleteme.com/ETM and use code ETM for 20% off. When it comes to financial advice, you got to trust the source. It's why you listen to this podcast. When I'm looking to upgrade my wallet, I turn to NerdWallet. Their expert team of nerds dives into the details to help you find smarter financial products. Before NerdWallet, I was paying for vacations all wrong. I was missing out on miles I didn't even know I was leaving on the table. Now I've got a new card with more miles and more upgrades. What could future you do with more travel rewards? I don't know, maybe that fancy hotel upgrade that you have always been dreaming about. Wherever you go next, make it happen with a smarter travel credit card. Don't wait to make smart financial decisions. Compare and find smarter credit cards, savings accounts, and more today at nerdwallet.com. NerdWallet. Finance smarter. As with all cards, credit is subject to lender approval and terms apply. I'm a big fan of enjoying life while still being smart financially. That's why I love ButcherBox. I can get a variety of high-quality meat, seafood, chicken, and pork at an amazing value, all with exclusive member deals delivered to my door with free shipping always. One thing I just never wanted to cut out of my spending plan is eating good food. And with ButcherBox, I don't have to, and neither do you. Where else can you get free protein for a whole year? Yes, you heard that right. One of my favorite go-to dinners is a salmon bowl. I'm not even a huge salmon lover, but ButcherBox's wild-caught salmon is oh so good. I make a nice little marinade, saute some veggies, cook the salmon, and throw in some rice. And it is an amazing dinner. If you want to take less trips to the grocery store and always have prepared meat in the freezer for a lot less money, you need ButcherBox in your life. Sign up at butcherbox.com/ETM and get our special deal. ButcherBox is offering our listeners a free for a year offer plus an additional $20 off. You can choose salmon, chicken breast, or steak tips free in every order for a year. Sign up today at butcherbox.com/ETM.
What if instead of you putting 5% towards your 401k, you put 5% towards your student loan debt and your employer matches that 5% into your 401k? That's what the Secure Act allows you to do. And it's pretty cool for the right employee.
You're listening to Everyone's Talking Money. I am your host, Shauna, and this is the Money Podcast that helps you make real changes with your finances. So if you're new here, It's so good to have you. Be sure to subscribe and follow us so you never miss an episode. If you are an ETM fan already, welcome back, my friend. This episode is one you're going to want to bookmark. Do you save for retirement or pay off your student loans? That is the $64 million question I have been asked repeatedly. The good news is you might not have to choose between the two. Have you ever heard of the Secure Act 2.0? Well, it was created in 2022, and some pretty cool features were rolled out this year in 2024, including the provision allowing employers to match retirement contributions in your 401k, 403b, etc., on your behalf when you are making student loan payments. Okay, this is mind-blowing, but what do you need to know? Well, Robert Farrington, the creator of The College Investor and America's Millennial Money expert and student loan debt expert, is back on the show to break down all of the ins and outs. In this episode, we discuss how the Secure Act 2.0 can help you with your money goals, the current status of student loan debt forgiveness, and how you can roll over money from a 529 college savings plan to a Roth IRA. It's oh so good. So if you've been scratching your head trying to figure out how to increase your retirement plan contributions, you are going to want to listen to this episode. All right, let's start talking. We're talking about something on the show that we don't cover a lot. And this is, very timely money news. There was the Secure Act 2.0 that came out, and there's a lot of really juicy bits in there that I know you are the expert on, and these are things that I think we really need to know about. One of the things that, the Secure Act kind of talked about was this idea for employers to match their employees' student loan payments with contributions to their retirement accounts. And I know that we are just, as a nation, so far behind when it comes to retirement savings, stat after stat after stat. We're just not doing a good job. And so, the government, the employees, like everybody is trying to figure out, how do we solve this crisis? Because it's going to be a crisis. We're just not going to have enough money to retire. So I want to talk about all of these juicy details. But, first, tell us a little bit about, what is this Secure Act 2.0 and why should we care?
Yeah, so the Secure Act, it's also the second one because we're talking 2.0, was just a bunch of investing in student loan and different legislation that, holistically was designed to basically help people save more for the future. But it had so many different avenues. It had stuff about student loans. It had stuff about saving for college. It had stuff about retirement plans. It had stuff about 401ks. All of this stuff was all tied up in there. And so, you could spend, the Secure Act was thousands of pages long. So it's like you could spend so much time going through all this random stuff. But I think, like you said, one of the big ones that has started to get a lot of attention because it just went into effect on January 1st, 2024, is that employers can now help their employees by matching student loan payments with 401k or 403b retirement plan contributions. And so it sounds very hard to conceptualize because it is a little hard to conceptualize. But the premise is you've probably talked about the 401k matching before, right? Where if you put 5% of your pay into your 401k, your employer will match you 5%. And it's like 5% free money. And that's awesome. Well, what if instead of you putting 5% towards your 401k, you put 5% towards your student loan debt and your employer matches that 5% into your 401k? That's what the Secure Act allows you to do. And it's pretty cool for the right employee because now you can kind of do both. You can pay off your loans and save for retirement, which to me is kind of a win-win.
Which was always the kerfuffle, right? Everybody was like, well, do I pay off these student loans? Do I save for retirement? And now I think what's exciting about this is maybe you don't have to, you don't have that decision point, which a lot of people would just end up not doing anything because it was a constant kind of tie up of what do I do?
And you nailed it. That was the point. The point was to help people do both because a lot of employees were saying, I have student loans. I can't afford to save for retirement. I can't take advantage of things like my 401k match because I got to make this loan payment. And then on the flip side, you had people that were like, I want to save for retirement. Should I like not pay my loans, or should I like do different things with my loans? Maybe an income driven repayment plan, even if it's not the best, to get those funds in. So now this is a really cool hybrid approach that allows both. But like everything that we talk about, every time I'm on here, it's a big asterisk. Like
Right.
maybe this will work for you, and maybe your employer will even allow it. Because the important thing to think about here is that this is an employee benefit, just like a 401k plan is. So your employer has to do it for you. They have to allow it. You can't just like randomly make your loan payment and then hope this match happens. Like there's a whole benefit process that is involved in it. So there's more and more employers adding it every day, but your employer might not yet.
So is this something that you need to be like proactive about, asking about, or is this information like if your employer offers this, you should have, knowledge that this exists?
A lot of them will push it out because they want to highlight it, but I would venture that a lot of them don't know or don't know there's interest among their employees. So some of the big employers, Abbott Laboratories was famously the first employer to do this. They're a huge pharmaceutical company in the United States, and they're the ones that kind of champion this legislation to go through. And a lot of big companies do it. And, these big companies also have big HR departments and a lot of people that are savvy on this stuff. If you're on a mid-size or a smaller company, your benefits team might not even know it exists. So I would encourage you to reach out to them. Say, hey, is this something that you're going to offer? Is this something that we can do? Because, more and more benefit providers, like the companies they use to run payroll and stuff, are offering it. But if the company doesn't know to ask, they might never get it, right? And if they don't know their employees are interested, they might not look into it.
What's the advantage for a company offering this? Like, what do they get out of this deal?
The big thing for companies is that they get better employee retention, right? So if the companies are already spending the money on potentially a 401k match or, running all this payroll software, like they have the tools, they're already spending the money, and they want their employees to use it because the whole reason they're offering it is that you as an employee stick around and like want to work there and you want to stay. But if you're not getting the value out of it, maybe you would leave. And so the benefit to them is this is a way that they could attract potentially younger workers and say, like, there's value here. Like you can achieve your own goals of student loan debt reduction and we'll give you money into your 401k. So like they're really catering to that younger employee that might have student loan debt.
And what if, because this is always a question that comes up is, let's say I'm utilizing this and the employer's putting money into my 401k as I'm paying off my student loans. And let's say I get laid off or I leave that job. Then what happens to that money that the employer set aside?
Yeah, as long as you're vested. So 401ks still have vesting rules, and vesting means that you don't get your money until you hit certain things. But if you're fully vested, that is your 401k money, and you can just roll it over once you leave. Granted, you have to be vested, right? So every company has its own rules. A lot of them are pretty lenient, like you have to be there a year and you get your match or whatever it happens to be. But if that money and you're fully vested, it's yours. Take it with you, roll it into a rollover IRA, roll it into your next employer's 401k plan. You have options. It's your money.
Okay, so I just thought of another question as you were talking. So let's say that this company also offers just a general match. Is it a one or the other, option? Either you're taking advantage of this from the Secure Act or you're getting the company match, or can you potentially get both?
No, so this is where it's going to get very complicated, and a lot of benefits providers can't do both. So either you're going to put like your whole 5% into your student loan payment and then the match will happen. But if you're thinking like, oh, maybe I only put 2% to my loans and 3% to my 401k, and then I'll get the full 5% match, I hope that happens. But this is so new for a lot of the technology providers and the logistics of it. I don't think we're there yet because I have not seen that actually happen. Not to say that it won't, not to say that it can't, but I think there's some technology issues there.
So I want to just back up a little bit, and I'd love to get your kind of expert opinion on this. we're obviously, I mentioned, we're in this like huge gap where people aren't saving enough for retirement. So what do you think was like the ultimate motivation behind coming out with the Secure Act to begin with, Secure Act 2.0? Is the government really worried and proactive about this kind of gap that exists for retirement?
I don't think that they're very proactive about it, but I do think that they can see that there's ways for them to get tax dollars. And if they get people investing and building wealth, it means that they'll have more tax dollars in the future coming from certain investment plans. It means that they can get people in the labor force. It just all around helps them. If people are paying off their student loans, that's a good thing. Because remember, the government owns most federal student loans. So if people are automatically repaying these debts, guess what? It's less that we have to forgive. It's less that we have to cancel. So, I think it's like one of those easy wins that probably is going to be like a net wash from a financial perspective or even a potential gain for the government. But it makes them look like, hey, like we're doing nice things. And it is a nice thing in the end because it does better people as well. But it's not definitely a free handout, and the government's not necessarily being like gentle to us.
I like that. That is the no BS answer, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. I think people need to realize like there's always a reason why, and the government is there to maximize their revenue as well. And their revenue is tax dollars, or it's to lower their losses. And when it comes to student loans, what are they doing? They're having to cancel a lot of them or forgive them because people can't pay them. So if this program helps people pay them more and doesn't really cost them any tax dollars, win-win.
I want to get back to the canceling of the student loan debt in just a minute, but before we get there, let's just talk a little bit about retirement in general. You cover so many different topics on The College Investor, and I love reading all of your articles because they're really well researched and there's just so much great information there. What sort of advice can you offer somebody listening who maybe is a little bit behind in their retirement planning and they're trying to make up for lost time?
It's hard. First, don't beat yourself up. Everyone gets that financial lesson at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later. But if you're listening to this and you want to do more, the easiest thing to do is people call it different things, whether it's pay yourself first or profit first or save until it hurts. But really try to put that money into your retirement accounts or your savings accounts before you do the other things in your life. Because what usually happens is we do all these other things in life. We buy a car and, we have our house or a rent, and then we buy groceries and we sign up for subscription services. And then we're like, okay, I have this little bit of extra money. I'll put that away. But if you put this money into your accounts first, which is why I do love 401k plans and 403b plans and all this stuff that comes out of your paycheck, because it comes out before you actually get that money into your bank account. Yeah. Then you are having to make those financial decisions on that kind of what's left. And so if you're feeling like you're behind, like this, it sounds crazy and you'll get this butterfly in your stomach when you do it, but go onto your HR website, up the percentage of your 401k 1%. Just do one. And then see how you feel next month. And can you live and can you survive? You know what? If it's not working out, you can change it back down. But you might find that, oh my God, I didn't even notice it. And all of a sudden you're putting more money into your retirement plan. And then, you of course can get a little challenging and do it again and do it again. But I just think we have a mindset of we're spending what's left, and it's normal, right? Psychology, this is what got deposited in my checking account. But if you can take care of all these things like saving for retirement first, it makes you save more, and that'll of course grow into the future. And then you're still making the same decisions, just it might be a skosh less, but you might be able to make it work too.
I did an episode recently. It was a money confession episode where somebody sent in a confession where they shared that they took all their money out of their retirement plan and went and just took a sort of like a splurge vacation. And, they had all these emotions afterwards. And, so I talk a lot about the emotions around money and how we can't undo what we did. But I provided a lot of math in the episode talking about I believe they took out like $17,000 and drained their account, and what that would have grown to in 30 years. And when you look at the math, it's like, wow, it starts to be pretty compelling because that 17,000 grows into, a couple $100,000 if you put nothing else in, just, pure math equation. And so I think, to me, what's great about this provision in the Secure Act is that, it's helping us grow our retirement savings, like you say, without us having to make that like emotional decision, and that it's just kind of happening in the background. And that's going to allow the math to do what the math does, which is can grow and get, super juicy down the line.
Totally. It's so much easier to just have it automatically taken than it is for you to write that check or like send that, payment into an IRA. Like psychologically, it's so different. And that's why it's really cool if you can automate these things, if you can have it automatically happen out of your paycheck. It can go a long way. And like you said, I see this all the time is when you're young and maybe it's your first year doing a 401k and that 401k gets to have like $1,000 in it. It's a great start. But like, it's only going to grow. Let's say it grows 10% this year. So now it's $1,100. And like, I see people get very demoralized because they're like, that's it? That's all that happened? Because
it was supposed to be like magically at like $1 million.
Right. And it just takes time. And I think that's the harder part to realize is that, I always think of that penny that doubles every day. And if you kind of turn it to years, right? So you start with 1 penny and then it's 2 and then it's 4. I mean, you don't even get to like $100 until like day 18, right? But then by the time you get to the end, you're like, it gets up to over $1 million because like it just really starts doubling and doubling and doubling. And that's the same thing that happens to your 401k. That first year, even if it goes up or down, like, you just don't have a lot in there. But if you do it again and do it again and do it again, and then 15 years down the line, wow, it's really starting to get some momentum going.
Okay, friend, I want to know, what are your money goals this year? Are you saving to buy a house or maybe a wedding or a dream vacation to somewhere tropical? If that's you, please take me with you. Or maybe you want to just grow your emergency fund because, let's be real, life is expensive. I want to make sure you reach your goals, so you need Monarch. That's why the Wall Street Journal named it the best app for growing your savings. Monarch is the top-rated all-in-one personal finance app. It gives you a comprehensive view of all your accounts, investments, transactions, and more. You can create custom budgets, track progress towards your financial goals, and collaborate with your partner. And now, get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. Here's what I love. Monarch is the most customizable budgeting app. You can change the layout of your dashboard. You can go between light and dark mode. You can create custom budgets and notifications. You can set up all of these automatic rules for your transactions and notifications, and so much more. Monarch is obsessed with constantly improving their product. Get this. They release updates every 2 weeks, and they even allow customers to submit suggestions, vote on requested features, and view the product roadmap. This, my friend, is totally original. Plus, they will never sell your data to third party or show you ads. I think that's really important. After trying out Monarch for myself, I understand why it is the top-rated personal finance app. And now, listeners of this show get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. That's monarchmoney.com/ETM for your extended 30-day free trial. Okay, listen, like many of you out there, I love Notion, our sponsor today. And I honestly use it every day for my notes and journaling. I also track our family expenses, and I manage all of our household to-dos. Notion has been such a lifesaver in helping me get a lot more organized because that's not one of my strengths, without stressing me out. Notion is a place where any team can write, plan, organize, and rediscover the joy of play. It's a workspace designed not just for making progress, but getting inspired. Notion is the AI-powered workspace that can summarize things like meeting notes and automatically generate action items and help you get answers to questions in seconds. It will honestly blow your mind. Notion is for everyone, whether you're a Fortune 500 company, you're a freelancer, you're starting a startup, or you're a student juggling classes and clubs, or you're somebody like myself that just really wants to get organized. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/ETM. That's all lowercase letters, notion.com/ETM, and start turning ideas into action. And when you use our link, you are supporting our show. Notion.com/ETM. In those moments when money is just not moving as fast as your dreams, Earnin provides the financial momentum you need to keep moving forward. Earnin is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work, up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. You just download the Earnin app and verify your paycheck. Then you access up to $100 a day as you work, and you can leave an optional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. I honestly would use Earnin in lots of different ways, but what's on my mind recently is I need a night out. I need some good tacos to sip on a few virgin margaritas and celebrate you all helping this podcast earn 26 million downloads. Make Earnin a part of your financial routine and join Earnin's over 3.5 million customers who say things like, when I think about Earnin, I think about financial stability and security. Gives me a lot of peace of mind. Download Earnin today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple App Store. When you download the Earnin app, type in Talkin' Money under podcast when you sign up. It will really help the show. Talkin' Money under podcast. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank, subject to your available earnings, daily max, pay period max, and location. See earnin.com/TOS for details. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. All right, Robert, it's time to play Your Relationship with Money Is game. So question number 1. If you were to describe your relationship to money as a movie character, who would it be?
I'm going to say Tony Stark from Iron Man. And here's why is like, your money's a tool. It's like my suit. I can do the cool things with it. And of course I like to have more. I don't know about the Playboy aspect of it, but definitely that side of it and using it and hopefully for good, but maybe a little bit of an anti-hero vibe to it. I don't know.
I like it. All right. What is one money splurge that you are never giving up?
Oh, man. One money splurge I've never given up is I love a really fun cocktail. And sometimes you see the prices of these things and it's like $18, $22 for a drink, but you taste it and they're just so good. And you're just like, oh. And so I try to limit it to vacation, but then, you do one or two of those a night for 5 days. And it's like, I just spent like $200 on beverages. This is the silliest thing ever. But I'm never going to make that for myself at home with all the mix-ins and the toppings and who knows, right? So that's probably my biggest splurge.
Do you have a favorite cocktail? Like, is there one that you're always like a sucker for?
I am not. Sometimes I usually keep it simple with like a Moscow Mule, but when I go on vacation, I will definitely do the fruity beverage. I am not ashamed to walk around with a pineapple and like a flower on top. My wife will look at me and be like, seriously, like, I don't want,
You're like, it's good. It's good.
It's great.
All right. Tell me, what does money mean to you?
To me, money is just a tool. It really does just enable and magnify who you are, what you want to do. I definitely think you need it. It's like an essential tool for your life. But at the same time, it is just a tool. It doesn't define you. It doesn't, it can definitely amplify you and that can be good or bad. But it's just a tool.
All right. Last question. What is one money secret you have that maybe you haven't shared with a lot of people?
I don't know if I have like a money secret, but, one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is, we have been on and off a one-car family for a long time. And we're going back to being a one-car family right now as we were recording this. So we still have 2 kids and take them to school and stuff, but we don't get a lot of value out of having 2 cars. And it really is a money suck. like even without driving the second car very much, I mean, it's costing you $300-$400 a month with registration and insurance and upcoming tires and stuff. And you know what? There are added expenses to being a one-car family. We're going to put more gas and miles on the other car. I will take Ubers and Lyfts more, but you save so much money and effort and time. And you don't have to think about it and whatnot. That we were 2 cars for a while. Then we went to 1 car for about 6 or 7 years. Had 2 cars for a hot minute while the kids were younger and in car seats. But now that they're out of car seats, going back to that 1-car family.
The weather is getting warmer. I'm so excited, and it is time to say goodbye to all those jackets and sweaters and hello to the shorts and t-shirts. I wanted to update my summer workout wardrobe for the long haul without, spending a fortune. Luckily, I found Quince, and I am in love. Quince is your go-to place from everything from premium European linen dresses, blouses, and shorts from $30, washable silk tops, timeless 14-karat gold jewelry, and so much more. The best part of all Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes those savings on to you. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I love that. Okay, I bought the dreamiest pair of workout leggings and a bright pink workout top to match. Honestly, ladies, I gotta tell you, these leggings you need. The price cannot be beat, and I feel like $1 million wearing this cozy workout-friendly outfit. I've worn it for like 5 days straight. Get warm weather ready with Quince. Go to quince.com/ETM for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/ETM to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/ETM.
This episode is brought to you by Essentia. A better you starts with better hydration. Essentia is on a mission to inspire people to do what matters most. Their proprietary ionization process transforms water from any source into ionized alkaline water, providing water that's 99.9% pure with a pH of 9.5 or higher. Essentia overachieving H2O, the #1 ionized alkaline water. Shop now.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to bite into Nerds gummy clusters? They're fruity. They're tangy. They're gummy. And they're crunchy. Nerds Gummy Clusters, a union of fruity sweet gummy and tangy crunchy nerds. Unleash your senses. Shop now at nerdscandy.com.
All right, so we talked about this provision in the Secure Act. What else? I mean, because I know there are thousands and thousands of pages in this thing, and most of us are not going to sit there and like, this is not our our average everyday reading. So is there anything else in there that really jumps out that we need to know about?
Yeah, so the other one that I see a lot of people chatting about, of course, there's actually a lot of them that people are chatting about, but the other big one is that you can now take a 529 plan, which is what you use to save for college or education typically, and you can roll over $35,000 into a Roth IRA if, again, you meet all the requirements. So the plan has to be open for 15 years and your state has to allow it. A lot of people think that everybody's eligible. But remember, every state makes their 529 plan rules and your state may or may not allow it. So I'm in California and California, of course, does not let you do that right now. And New York, another big state, does not let you do this. So, but if you are in one of the great states that does allow it, you could take that money and you can put it into a Roth IRA, which, there's 2 kind of purposes here. One, the intended purpose is if you had money left over from college, you could, of course, if you had money left over, you can now use it for this purpose. But I also know that there's a lot of people in the financial independence community and these investing communities are like, well, can I just like do it for myself and put money in and get my state tax deduction and then roll it over? And the answer is yes, you can do that as well. But again, you just have to meet all these requirements. But, for some people, they are viewing it as a potential backdoor way to get more money into a Roth IRA. And also it's you get to benefit from the state tax deduction if your state allows a tax deduction. So usually Roth contributions are after tax, right? Well, this one at least gives you a little state tax deduction. So there might be some tax benefits to it. But again, that's going to be the more niche use case, I think. But for people that have leftover money, it's a way to roll it into a Roth IRA.
So people who are doing what you're saying, this kind of tricky way of putting money in a 529, and then if your state allows, moving it over to the Roth, is this a way to get around, like if you don't qualify for a Roth to begin with? Or are they doing this as a strategy for a tax deduction as well?
They're doing it for a strategy for the tax deduction, because one of the asterisks on this plan is that the rollover counts as your contribution. So it's not like you can double up. It's not like anything like that. Like, it is your contribution for the year. The benefit is that you potentially are contributing money that you got a tax deduction on. And that money also might have grown tax-free for a while. And so it could have been that type of money that you're putting into the Roth instead of your own earnings.
I like this a lot, though, because when I was working as a financial planner and I would have clients, there was a lot of questions about, well, what do I do to save for my kids' college? And it was like, well, it's a 529 or it's pulling out of your own investments. And then the 529, the next question was, well, what if my kid doesn't go to school or doesn't use all those funds? What do I do with them? I was like, well, then you get a penalty for taking the money out. And so It always felt like there was not a good purpose for that money. And I think it's so hard when you're, you have a young child, as a lot of listeners do, and they're thinking about saving for retirement, but who knows if their kid's going to go to is college going to be a thing in 18 years? I don't know.
And I agree with you. I think, there's a lot of pros and cons. I think college will always be around. But the interesting thing that we're seeing with these 529 plans is that they just keep broadening the definition. So they used to be college savings plans. Right. And now I'm really trying to say they're education savings plans, because generally you can now use them for up to $10,000 for K through 12 tuition. You can use them $10,000 one time for student loan debt. You can use them for trade school, vocational school, apprenticeships. And so the definition of, and then of course you can use them for, college and all the qualified expenses as well. So the definition of what you can do with these 529 plans continues to grow. And then we're now adding in this kind of like, well, if you still have money, even though there's other ways, but if you still have money, you can take the 35 and roll it into a Roth IRA. So there's a lot of options for them. The other thing I actually have been kind of excited about with 529 plans is this idea of turning it into like an education trust. So I'm seeing some families do this too. And so what I mean by this is that there's no time limit on spending a 529 plan, and you can change the beneficiaries of a 529 plan. There's nothing to stop you from that. So maybe you send a kid through college. Great. Maybe you still have some money left. You could also just repeat the process and let it keep growing. And then maybe you'll have grandchildren. Maybe you'll have nieces and nephews. And then now there's this nest egg that's kind of been growing for your family, tax-free, penalty-free, all that you could use for education. So I always believe in saving for yourself first. So like, don't save for 529 plans in lieu of your own retirement. Take care of your own retirement plans and your own needs first. But if you're looking to save for education, it's a great tool that can provide for your children, for your grandchildren. You can change the beneficiary or the owner to be a child or a grandchild. And like this train can continue of future beneficiaries enjoying the benefits of education dollars that are saved for them.
And I think a fun thing that a lot of people don't think about for 529 plans is there are a lot of grandparents or family members that want to give, the kids a couple gifts or a gift at the birthday, a gift at whatever holiday you celebrate. And instead they could contribute to a 529 plan, right? And really help the parents kind of create a juicy plan going forward.
You nailed it. That's actually my favorite way to fund 529 plans is through gifting. So I think a lot of parents put this burden on themselves, like I have to save for my children's college. And then every birthday, your child gets like 30 gifts. They play with 2 of them. And you just look around the room and you're just like, oh, this money was just wasted at Target and Walmart and all these places where it's like, maybe grandma and grandpa give them 1 gift and they put $50 instead into the 529 plan. So look, they could still have the joy of watching their grandchild open something. But then instead of getting them multiple things and wasting that money at a retail store, they could put that money to use in a 529 plan. And you know what? You do that every birthday and every holiday. So Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever. And you do it for 18 years. You're not even as saving as the parent, but that could be thousands of dollars that has grown to help pay for future education.
I hear the echoes of like 1,000 children boycotting this statement. Like, no, we still want our gifts. But they're going to be they're going to be very thankful when they go to college or vocational school or whatever it is, and they do not have a truckload of student loan debt following behind them. They're going to be very thankful, I hope, in those moments that, grandparents or whoever help them out in this way.
Absolutely. We're not trying to make them go gift free, but let's minimize the gifts that we all know as parents. Half of them, you just end up donating them or throwing them away. The kids don't play with them. Like, let's have a real conversation here. There's like 2 or 3 winners every season, and the rest are not winners. And we also do have that parent or relative that is not a good gift giver that maybe should not be giving that gift to start with because they just can't read the gift of.
Yeah, my aunt, she passed away many years ago. She was about 14 years older than my dad. And when QVC launched kind of all those home shopping channels, she had to have been the number 1 customer. I swear her picture had to be hanging on the walls. And, she had like on speed dial, the phone number, and she would get all of this like really gaudy jewelry, and she would gift it to me. And because I was the only granddaughter or the, niece in the family. And I would always say to my mom, like, I'm like 10, 12 years old. I'm like, I don't even like this, and my mom's like, just take it. I'm like, couldn't she have better used that money? So it's funny when you talk about, gift givers, I always think about her and it's, a gentle conversation with someone, but I think if you could help them see a grandparent or a relative, the power of even just giving, $50 into the 529 plan once or twice a year, collectively, how that could really help the child going forward in the future.
Absolutely. Like, they're spending the money. So like, can we put the money in a better optimized way than something that won't be used or enjoyed? And that's really what the conversation is. And it's hard because everybody they give selfishly in a way because they want to see you open it or they want to see the child open it. And they're like, I got that. But on the same token, like, maybe they get away with something that's a little widget, like tiny, and then like the rest is on the 529 plan. And then I will say a lot of the 529 plans now are making it very easy to gift. And what I mean by this is that they'll have like cool URLs or things. So that's like your child's own landing page and they can just like send it right to the 529 plan. It's really easy. We actually had some friends that did this the other day for their child's graduation party from 8th grade. And at the bottom, it said like of the invite, it said, in lieu of gifts, like please give. And it had like their cool URL, and you can give. And it's nice because it's nice. Like, okay, no gifts, but like you can donate to their 529 plan.
So if somebody's listening and they want to find out their state rules around their 529 plan and if this Roth conversion option is available, how do they find out this information?
I mean, of course, you can Google it. We also have the 529 plan guide on our site. So you can go to collegeinvestor.com/529 plan guide. And all the states are there. Click on your state and we break down every single rule that matters, really. So, what's the tax deduction if there is any? Can you do student loans? Can you do another one we were kind of talking about is you could do $10,000 to student loans one time. Can you pay for K through 12 education? Can you, convert it to a Roth IRA? So every state has different rules, which makes them very complicated. But find your rules. Remember too, it's the state you file taxes in, not the state that your child might go to college. It's wherever you file your tax return, that's the rules that apply to you. So even if you live in California and your child goes to Illinois, it's the California rules.
Womp womp. All right. So I want to get back just a little bit to touch on just student loans. I know every time we have you on, there's like always another update, and there's already been, lots of talk about Biden forgiving lots of loans. Every time I feel like I click on CNN or some sort of, news online site, I'm reading about another kind of forgiveness package. But I think there's still a lot of confusion about who do these actually help? And, am I in this bucket? Am I not in this bucket? Can you give us any sort of insight into kind of what's happening in this forgiveness realm?
Yeah. So as of recording this, there's no new rules, and everything that's kind of been talked about is either in process or done. And so there's nothing that you really need to do at this point in time of recording, except if you have not resumed your loan payments yet. So we are still in the grace period. You should have started resuming your payments last year in October, but they're giving you a 12-month grace period if you have not started making your student loan payments yet. And we're about halfway through that grace period. So if you're listening to this and you just don't know what to do, now is the time to get on board with your student loan payments. The biggest program that is out there helping people right now is the new SAVE student loan repayment plan. So it is a new repayment plan, and it will, and I say will, have the lowest monthly payment available. However, this is where a lot of people got a little confused, is that low 5% monthly payment does not kick in until July 1st. So if you've signed up for the SAVE plan and you're like, it didn't save me anything, it's the same as my old plan was. Yes, it was. But on July 1st, it will lower to 5% of your discretionary income. And so people will start seeing a lot more savings with it. You are seeing things in the news of people getting their loans forgiven and different programs. I will tell you that there's two big buckets of people that are still getting forgiveness today. And these are people that are in public service loan forgiveness, and they have already worked that 10 years, and their applications are being processed and their loans are getting forgiven. The other big bucket of people getting their loans forgiven are people that went to for-profit colleges, and they are finally getting their loans forgiven after being in paperwork limbo for 2 or 3 years. The reason you're hearing about it a lot more today is the Biden administration is just doing a very good job of tooting their own horn and saying, we are giving these forgiveness, we are giving this loan forgiveness, we're giving this loan forgiveness, but they're not new programs. They are just doing the programs that actually exist today, and they're using the results of said programs to get some political points and say like, hey, we're doing things, we're helping borrowers, things like that. So don't be like confused that you're missing out on something. What exists today exists today. If you're eligible for things like public service loan forgiveness, get started. Remember, it takes 10 years of working in public service. So the people that you're seeing get loan forgiveness have been working in public service since 2014 as of right now. So that's why you're starting to see all this stuff. Now, I will say there are new proposals coming. They've put in about 9 new student loan forgiveness proposals, but these are proposals, and we'll see what actually happens with that.
I like that you say as we're recording this, because this information changes so frequently. And I just have to ask, because I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen? We're in an election year, of course, and student loan forgiveness, I think, is one of those hot button issues. Do you think anything's going to change, during this election cycle?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing we're seeing is just all of these press releases. About every Friday, it seems like the Biden administration is putting out how much forgiveness they gave the last week. And this is all from existing programs. They're not doing anything new, but they really are trying to just tee this up as like, we are doing things for Americans. We are giving that loan forgiveness. We're helping people. So you can clearly see it's an election issue. I think the big thing for the future and what people are going to talk about are his 9 different loan forgiveness proposals that he's kind of committed to if he's going to be reelected. And one of the biggest ones that was kind of the attention grabbing one is he wants to forgive all unpaid interest on student loans. Oh, and that would affect about 28 million borrowers. It would forgive, it would impact 66% or so of them, and it would forgive billions in student loan interest. And so that's kind of the biggest program that he has proposed, but it's also the one that probably faces the most challenges. So, who knows if that will come to be, but he's definitely teeing up different things. I will say that President Trump has not announced anything related to student loans in his policy positions. And then you do have RFK Jr., and he actually is a big supporter. His number one policy position is forgiving the interest on student loans. So the fact that 2 of the 3 of them are kind of talking about the same thing is interesting. But again, it's a proposal, and I don't know if the president can legally do it. It's one of those ones that might get shot down again because it requires an act of Congress versus the president. Now, there's other ones that are probably low-hanging fruit that he can definitely do. One of my favorites that he has proposed is automating some of this stuff. So we've talked about public service loan forgiveness, right? Well, the IRS already knows where you work because you file your tax return. And they know how long you worked there because you filed your tax return. So why can't we put like 2 and 2 together
Seriously.
and say like you've worked at a public service company for 10 years. Let's just tell the Department of Education and just make that happen, right? So that's one that I think is a great idea. Like, why don't we use some of our existing information and tools and just start making different branches of government talk to each other? Sounds revolutionary.
Sounds, yeah. Like, come on, Robert. Like, seriously?
But, that's one of the big problems. It's one of the problems that, years ago, when we were talking about public service loan forgiveness, it's like 99% of people have been denied, right? This was probably about 5 years ago. And it was because people weren't filling out the forms right, or they weren't getting processed. And so it's like, if we automate these things, we can actually help people, make it simpler, make sure it's accurate. I don't know, just easy, low-hanging fruit. So things like that I can definitely see going into effect.
So we talked about the Secure Act, and, I just kind of want to leave everybody. What do we actually need to pay attention to? Because there's so much that comes out. Most people don't even know that the Secure Act is even out there. They don't know any of these provisions. They don't understand what's happening with student loans. So what of the news do we actually need to pay attention to? And what do we just, not need to spend our time on?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't care about the names and what these things are and whatnot, but I always like to remind you that nobody's going to care more about your money than you are. They're not a financial advisor, not the news, not your employer. Like, please, please, please spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour a year, maybe every 6 months, and just look at options for things that actually apply to you. If you have student loans, just go to Google and say, what are the best repayment plans, or what are my loan forgiveness options? And just read up on what's out there, because you'll get a lot of great results right away. You could say like, how can I save more in my 401k? Or, how do I make my Roth IRA contribution? Things like that. Like, you don't need to learn about every single financial topic all at once. I can't even do that. And I'm in this space. I don't know anything about like Social Security. Like, it's like not my thing, but like when I get older, I am going to Google and I'm going to research like, how do I maximize this? Or, figure out what applies to you today in your life and just focus on those few things. And don't overwhelm yourself. Like, there is a fire hose of information. But look, if you don't have kids and you're not thinking about saving for college, you could tee that 529 plan conversation for a little bit while down the road. But if you have student loans and you're like, what should I do? What's the best way to pay off my student loans? Can I get loan forgiveness programs? Like, start thinking about those things that could apply to that specific situation. And, just look up and Google the different options, and you might learn something. Maybe you're doing everything right, but that also is a nice pat on the back to yourself. It's like, okay, I'm on the best repayment plan for myself. I'm on the track for loan forgiveness. Okay, nothing I need to do here.
I am so thankful that we have Robert as an ETM insider, because it is hard to stay on top of all of the legislative changes and the new laws that are signed, like the Secure Act 2.0. And like Robert said, it's thousands and thousands of pages. So we need people like Robert to break this down. I hope you found this episode empowering. If you are paying off your student loans and sacrificing saving for retirement, be sure to check with your employer to see if they are offering this provision. It could be a huge, huge benefit to you down the line. If you want to connect with Robert and learn everything about money that you need to know, you can head on over to thecollegeinvestor.com. I will also link the 529 plan guide that he mentioned in this episode in the show notes, so you can go over and check out your state, check out all the rules, regulations, everything you need to know. If you enjoyed this episode, do me the highest favor right now. Go shout it out on social media, share it with a few friends, tell them that they need to be listening to this podcast. You can head to the show notes for all the links to Robert and everything I mentioned in this episode, as well as links to our sponsors who make this show possible. Please do me a favor, go over, give them some love. This is how I can continue to bring this show to you every single week. I'll see you back here in a few days for a brand new episode.